So now that we've applied the Tame Wild to the hair and we have all the clips kind of holding the other section of the hair off, we are going to start. So what I do is always obviously make sure you brush all the snarls out, and also to distribute the product a little bit more throughout the hair. What I always do with fishtail braids is, if I am going to do them up here as opposed to just kind of grabbing the hair and doing it like a nicer kind of ponytail down here, I take the little triangle up in the front and basically kind of push it off to the side for a minute. When it comes to fishtail braids, if you want this to kind of come down here a little bit more, or you want it to be more defined in the back and then kind of come around, you have to kind of figure out where your center is. And your center is essentially where the center of the braid is going to be. So if you want the braid to go really close to the part line, all the way down and around, you're only going to be pulling little bits, you know, each of hair on this side to add on to the braid so that it does stay really close along the hairline. And then bigger sections over here to contribute, because they have to almost overextend every time you do it to make sure that the braid does stay close to the hairline. Most people do, you know, when they are looking to do almost pigtail type of braids, they want it to kind of, if this is half the head, they want it to kind of go down the middle here and then around back, and they can kind of pull it to the front if they want, or keep it in the back. So my suggestion for a basic one is just to kind of keep the center of where you pull the hair on both sides right directly in the middle. And you can always check, you know, during the process, okay, you know, it's halfway between here and here is going about down this line, and then continue it all the way behind the head. That being said, I just wanted to show you that. So now what I will do is I always take the front corner section and just basically cut it in half. And what you're going to do is you're going to crisscross these two sections. Okay? At this point, people sometimes have nails. They can just kind of scoop up the hair. That's kind of what I normally do, but I don't have any nails right now. So what I will be using is a rat tail comb. These are amazing because they can literally just scoop up the hair like this. You can pinch it and then add it to the section. So that's basically what we're going to do. And then you are going to have to learn how to adjust with your fingers. You can hold hair in between, you know, fingers that you might not have thought you were going to be able to, just to be able to accommodate. Sometimes I hold this here and I hold this up here, and we add the hair this way. Set your comb down, and then you can add it to this section over here. And that's all we're going to do, is continuously just add sections of hair. So as you can see, this went over first. So now the next step would be to take another piece of hair and come this way. What I always do is I take this out of this new section, I take as close to the hairline as I can, a small section, and I just take it, crisscross, and add it to this section. So now we are forming that crisscross pattern, which is essentially the fishtail braid, throughout her hair. My center is going to be here, so that's what I'm going to continue to do. And again, from now this point, grab the section of hair along the hairline and add it to this section. And again, we have another crisscross pattern. If at any point, you know, you see little hairs like this, you can gently just kind of brush it and it will lay flat again for you. It is important to make sure when you are doing this that you kind of keep it very, you know, as taut as you can without ripping out a person's head or hair out of their head. So I do make sure that I do keep this pretty taut and close to the head while I'm doing it. Otherwise you get a very, very loose braid and it'll kind of fall apart on you a little bit more. So just make sure as you are doing this, you are keeping the hair taut. And again, all I'm going to do each time is just add hair from each side in a thin slice. And you can brush it again into that little section. And as you can see, if you always do one, if you start off on one side and always, you know, add from the one side first, you'll kind of remember that. So mine will always be from the left starting first. And I will crisscross that over to this side. And then I do the right side over to the left. And as you can see, we're getting that nice crisscross pattern. So essentially that's all I'm going to be doing this whole time, is making sure I'm staying on my center point, which would be, you know, right through the center here, and just adding hair slowly.
too hard to sleep. I got the sheets on the floor, nothing on me. And I can't take it no more, it's 100 degrees. I got one foot out the door, where are my keys? Cause I gotta leave, yeah, in the back of the cab. I took the drive, I had a turn, get me the fast. I got your body on my mind, I want it bad. Ooh, just the thought of you gets me so high, so high. Girl, you the one I want to move it. And if you want me, girl, you got me. There's nothing I know I wouldn't do just to get up next to you. Girl, you the one I want to move it. And if you want.
At this point, you know, you can loosen it up a little bit so you don't have such a tight look, and you can kind of see a little bit more of the crisscross pattern in here. But this is kind of the fun part where you can gonna just take whatever size section you want from the back. I mean, I would say a little bit, keep it similar to what you've been doing. Ooh, that we just did that side. And just crisscross over to the other section. This is where it gets a little bit easier, where you're literally just hold it in your hands and use your pointer fingers just to kind of dig up a little bit of piece and cross it over and grab. And then do the same thing over here and crisscross and grab.
Hey, girl, you got me. There's nothing I know I wouldn't do just to get up next to you. Just to get up next to you.
And with this, don't ever just start yanking from here, because your hair's not loose. It's obviously a little bit tighter up here. So if you start from the bottom, you know, if you over pull it, that's fine, because by the time you start pulling up these, it'll kind of tighten some of these bottom ones.
You open the door, wearing nothing but a smile, fell to the floor. And you whisper in my ear, baby, I'm yours. Ooh, just the thought of you gets me so high, so high. Girl, you the one I want.
As you can see up here, you know, I just took, you know, small sections from the outside to show you the technique of how to give you the crisscross effect. And if you did want a little bit more volume with it, you can piece it out a little bit more, which is nice. If you were wanting a lot more tighter, I guess, of a braid, you can take, you know, instead of just taking a small section from the end, you could take a little bit bigger of a section to kind of give more hair to the crisscross and a stronger hold with that braided pattern. For this, I just want it to be loosey-goosey to show you the different effects you can get and how you can get a nice textured hairstyle, very nice, cute low braid, okay? Okay, so I'm not gonna lie, when it comes to this side, because I am so used to doing French braid, I mean, I tend to end up going more towards the Dutch braid, which does this technique, but to do it almost in reverse for a fishtail, where typically this is the normal style, where on this other side, where you're kind of just pulling it on top. With this one, it did make me think, because you have to apply it underneath to it to get the raised effect of it. So again, you're going to do the same thing in the beginning with the triangle up front. And the difference with this braid, you will see, is instead of, I guess when I take the front two sections and I crisscross, instead of taking the sections and always adding them to the top, I'm actually going to add them underneath to the bottom section and crisscross them underneath. You will see as I continue that, it's going to be very similar to what we did in the beginning of the other one, just because you need to get your structure with this. Get yourself going. Okay, so the difference in what you're going to do, let me brush this out a little bit, is you are going to take the fishtail and go across like you were before. That does stay the same in regards to the top, and we'll do a little bit more on this section. Actually, I don't think I really wanted to add that much. We'll do a little bit more over here. and crisscross. But what we're going to do this time, instead of just adding the next section because it would stay similar, this is how we're going to get the raised effect. You're going to take a little section of what's already been there and crisscross again, and then under here and crisscross again. So as you can see, we've started the pattern and it's a little bit already raised. Now, when we go to this next section, instead of adding it on top with the section, we are actually going to add it underneath to the other section, and vice versa. You'll take that and you'll go underneath and add it to that section, okay? Then again, you're going to take this section and crisscross it over. And you can do this throughout it. You can kind of brush it just to make sure they all kind of blend in with one another. And you'll take this, and it almost ends up being the furthest piece of hair. It's what's kind of sticks out anyway to do the crisscrossing, and you can do it twice. So then one on each side, and now for the second on each side. And that is how you're going to get the braided look on top.
And if you want me, girl, you got me. There's nothing I know I wouldn't do just to get up next to you. Girl, you're the one I want to hold me. And if you want me, girl, you got me. There's nothing I know I wouldn't do just to get up next to you. Just to get up next to you. Just the thought of you gets me so high, so high. Oh, just the thought of you gets me so high.
And at this point, you'll start to kind of incorporate the hair from underneath, just like you did on the other one, and just kind of start continuing the same braid that you did over on the other side, just pulling straight from the back. And again, I'm leaving about just a couple inches of the remainder down so that when you do add a hair tie to it, and you, again, if you wanted to keep your front, or I guess the fishtail braid tight, you could go all the way down, you know, maybe leave an inch of the ends open. But because I do want to show you the effect, I actually like this one better because I do think you can have a nice cooler effect with it. In regards to pulling it out, again, you can do a little texture spray at first to give it a little bit of grit. And then you just kind of pull out each of them, starting again from the bottom. So with this one, I do love how this is above, but you can see as you pull these strands up here, how it makes the braid look, you know, so much bigger than it actually is. And because you have done a few times in between pulling sections, it won't loosen these up, you know, too much of anything. You know, you can notice that this is pulling that in here, so you can almost pull the exterior pieces out a little bit, or I guess pull them in if need be.
There's nothing I know I wouldn't do just to get up next to you. I would do anything just to get up next to you. Anything and everything just to get up next to you. Baby, just to get up next to you.
So yay! Hopefully you learned something new today in regards to the fishtail braids and just the different effects you can get on whether you pull the hair above or if you put it underneath and below, just the different effects. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Again, we're still doing that giveaway. If I can hit 100 subscribers, I'm giving away a free Babyliss blow dryer and curling iron set. So you can go into my Instagram at Katie Shane Designs and just follow the post instructions. And once we hit 100, we can do a live drawing and see who wins. So thank you again and have a great rest of your day.